Hey everyone, welcome back to the channel. I'm so glad you've joined me today because what we're about to explore is a journey into the very core of what makes us human. We're diving deep into Robert Sapolsky's masterpiece, Behave, the biology of humans at our best and worst. This isn't just a book about psychology or neuroscience. It's a full exploration of why we act the way we do, how our biology interacts with our experiences, and how society shapes the decisions we make. By the end of this audio summary, you'll have a clearer understanding of not just yourself, but also the people around you, and you'll gain the kind of insight that lets you see behavior in a new, more compassionate light. Imagine waking up one morning and realizing that so much of what you thought was purely your choice is actually the product of a fascinating, multi-layered interplay between neurons, hormones, upbringing, genetics, and culture. This book doesn't simply explain human behavior. It invites you to see the full story behind your actions, the choices of others, and the very nature of morality, empathy, and aggression. Throughout this audiobook summary, I want you to think of it as a guided journey. Close your eyes for a moment and imagine yourself peering into the complex machinery that drives every human decision. You're about to understand how the brain, the body, the environment, and even evolutionary history all combine to make us who we are. Part 1. The Layers of Human Behavior. Sapolsky begins with a central premise. To truly understand human behavior, we have to look at it across multiple timescales. That means examining the biological processes occurring in the seconds before an action, the cumulative effects of minutes, hours, days, and the long arc of our development over decades, all the way back to the evolutionary pressures that shaped our species. At the very moment an action occurs, your neurons fire in complex patterns. Tiny surges of neurotransmitters, small changes in hormone levels, and instantaneous calculations within the prefrontal cortex and amygdala are already nudging you toward one choice or another. Even milliseconds before you lash out, smile, or decide to act generously, there are countless signals influencing your decision, and most of them happen beneath your conscious awareness. Move back a little further, and the seconds become minutes, hours, and days. Here, environmental factors, social interactions, stress levels, and previous experiences begin to shape behavior more significantly. A moment of impatience in traffic may be influenced not just by your immediate irritation, but by accumulated stress from work, unresolved conflicts, or even subtle societal pressures. Sapolsky reminds us that our behavior is never the product of a single isolated factor. It's always an intricate symphony. And of course, our entire developmental history, including our childhood experiences, parenting, education, and cultural upbringing, lays the foundation for our adult personality. Traumas or nurturing experiences can leave lasting imprints on brain structure, emotional regulation, and social tendencies. Yet, even these early influences interact with our biology and current context in ways that are endlessly dynamic. Finally, Sapolsky takes us all the way back to evolutionary history. Our ancestors developed tendencies that were advantageous for survival and reproduction. Cooperation, altruism, dominance, and aggression all have deep evolutionary roots. And when we look at society and culture, we see that these ancient tendencies are filtered, encouraged, or suppressed depending on the norms and structures of the communities we live in. The overarching message is clear. Behavior is multi-layered, contextual, and emergent. Nothing happens in isolation. When someone acts aggressively, it's rarely a simple matter of choice. It's the culmination of neural activity, hormonal influence, past experiences, societal expectations, and evolutionary predispositions. Part 2. Hormones, neurons, and the decisions we make. Sapolsky dives deeply into neurobiology to explain how hormones and neurotransmitters shape behavior. These chemicals don't control us, but they amplify tendencies in powerful ways. Understanding them can illuminate why people act as they do, and how behavior is sometimes predictable, yet astonishingly flexible. Take testosterone, for instance. Many people mistakenly equate it with aggression. In reality, testosterone heightens sensitivity to social hierarchy and the potential for dominance. In certain contexts, this may increase aggression, but in others, it can enhance motivation, leadership, or socially constructive assertiveness. Cortisol, the stress hormone, can either inhibit action or prime an individual for rapid response, depending on circumstances. Chronic stress rewires neural circuits over time, influencing long-term tendencies toward anxiety, impulsivity, or aggression. Oxytocin is another fascinating example. Often called the love hormone, it encourages bonding, trust, and empathy. Yet oxytocin is nuanced. It can simultaneously increase in-group favoritism, making people protective of friends or community members while being more hostile toward outsiders. Dopamine, our brain's reward neurotransmitter, shapes decision-making by highlighting what actions are likely to bring pleasure, satisfaction, or social approval. These chemical systems constantly interact, creating a rich and dynamic inner landscape that underpins every decision. Sapolsky emphasizes that these hormones don't dictate behavior. They act as amplifiers, nudging tendencies based on context. The same individual can act in radically different ways depending on the combination of biological and environmental factors at any given moment. Part 3. The Brain and Behavior. Understanding the brain itself is central to Sapolsky's explanation. Different regions contribute uniquely to our decisions, emotions, and moral reasoning. The amygdala reacts to threats and triggers emotional responses, particularly fear and aggression. The prefrontal cortex allows for self-control, planning, and moral reflection, enabling humans to pause, weigh consequences, and override impulses. The hippocampus integrates context and memory, helping us learn from past experiences to guide present actions. The striatum and basal ganglia govern habits and repetitive behaviors, forming the backbone of routines, both productive and destructive. Sapolsky often likens behavior to a symphony, with these brain regions interacting in complex patterns. Self-control, for example, is not simply willpower. It's a negotiation between the impulsive reactions of the amygdala and the regulatory functions of the prefrontal cortex. Aggression is rarely a purely emotional act. It is informed by memory, context, hormones, and social cues simultaneously. Part 4. Genes, Environment, and Epigenetics. One of the most fascinating insights in behavior is the dynamic interplay between genetics and environment. While genes provide predispositions, they are not deterministic. Epigenetics demonstrates how environmental experiences can switch genes on or off, modifying behavior over a lifetime. Early childhood experiences, nutrition, trauma, and social relationships all shape the developing brain. Two individuals with similar genetic makeup may behave in profoundly different ways if raised in different environments. Similarly, cultural norms and societal structures modulate the expression of innate tendencies. Sapolsky shows that understanding this interplay is essential for cultivating empathy, as it highlights how much of behavior is shaped by forces beyond conscious choice. Part 5. Aggression, Altruism, and the Paradox of Human Behavior. Humans exhibit a paradoxical capacity for both violence and altruism. Sapolsky examines this tension in detail. Aggression arises from perceived threats, competition for status, or scarcity of resources. Cooperation and altruism, equally, have evolutionary roots, enabling group survival and social cohesion. The same neural circuits can underlie both aggression and empathy. Context determines which pattern manifests. Soldiers may demonstrate extreme aggression in combat while performing heroic acts to protect civilians. This apparent contradiction is explained not by moral weakness but by the interaction of biology, experience, and circumstance. Sapolsky's point is subtle yet profound. Understanding the mechanisms behind behavior does not excuse harmful acts. Instead, It provides the tools for predicting, mitigating, and channeling human tendencies in more constructive directions. Part 6. Morality, Free Will, and Responsibility. Sapolsky addresses morality with nuance. Humans naturally think in terms of free will and moral responsibility, but behavior is constrained by biology, environment, and social context. Free will exists, but it operates within limits imposed by the nervous system, hormonal states, past experiences, and cultural conditioning. Recognizing this nuance doesn't absolve individuals of responsibility. Instead, it encourages systems-level thinking. If we understand what drives aggression, prejudice, or altruism, we can design interventions that reduce harm and enhance well-being. Sapolsky encourages us to shift from judgment to understanding. When we see behavior as the product of complex, interacting factors, we can respond more intelligently and empathetically, rather than reacting impulsively. Part 7. Society, Culture, and the Human Experience. Humans are profoundly social creatures, and culture profoundly shapes behavior. Social hierarchies, norms, inequalities, and historical events influence individual actions in ways that are often invisible. Violence, altruism, cooperation, and prejudice all emerge in the context of social expectations. Sapolsky emphasizes interconnectedness. Individual biology influences society, and society feeds back to influence individual biology. Understanding this feedback loop is essential for addressing societal problems such as crime, inequality, and systemic violence. Modern stressors, job insecurity, social isolation, and constant digital engagement interact with ancient biological systems, creating new pressures and challenges. Chronic stress alters neural circuits, impairs decision-making, increases impulsivity, and reduces empathy. Sapolsky argues that awareness of these mechanisms allows for interventions that improve personal and societal outcomes. Part 8. Key Lessons and Transformations. Behavior is multi-layered. Every action is influenced by milliseconds, years, and even evolutionary history. Context is everything. Identical biological setups can produce radically different behaviors in different circumstances. Empathy emerges from understanding causes. Knowing why someone acts as they do fosters compassion and informed intervention. Stress management matters. Modern life creates chronic stress that hijacks behavior. Humans are adaptable. Even biology-based tendencies can be reshaped by environment, culture, and conscious action. Sapolsky ultimately asks us to see ourselves and others through the lens of complexity rather than judgment. Knowledge of behavior is not a weapon. It is a tool for insight, reflection, and constructive action. Outro, reflection, and takeaways. So what does all this mean for you? The next time someone acts out in anger, or you struggle with impulses you don't understand, or you marvel at acts of kindness and courage, remember, each choice is shaped by an intricate, multi-layered interplay of neurons, hormones, life history, and societal context. Awareness of these factors doesn't make you less free, it makes you more empowered. If this summary helped you understand yourself or others a little better, take a moment to reflect on the insights that resonate most with you. Recognizing the forces that shape behavior allows you to navigate life with more compassion, more clarity, and more intentionality. And if you'd like to read the full book and explore these concepts in greater depth, check the Amazon link in the description. Using it supports the channel at no extra cost to you. Remember, humans are complicated, endlessly fascinating, and profoundly adaptable. With awareness and understanding, you can approach life with empathy, curiosity, and intelligence. Thanks for listening, stay curious, and I'll see you in the next summary. Don't forget to comment your favorite insight from Behave, and subscribe for more audiobook-style summaries that explore the biology and psychology behind human behavior in ways that can truly reshape your understanding of yourself and the world.